Welcome to NASPA Tonight. I'm your host, Josh Greenway. This is the YouTube live show that is all about Scrabble. Tonight, we're going to be talking about what may be the best Scrabble tournament that you've never heard of. We're going to be talking with special guest Joey the K Kravchik and covering some other topics tonight. So, before we get into that, what I want to talk about first is a couple of tournaments that are coming up. Number one, I want to talk about the 2020 That is, I'm talking about the 2020 New Year's Scrabble Tournament. That is coming up December 27 to January 1st. We are announcing a discount if you decide to play all three events. Early Bird 1, Early Bird 2, and Main Event. You can get $15 off the price of all three. That's an amazing 43 games of Scrabble for just $140. So if you're one of those people who is not working, who's looking to play between, Christmas and New Year's, this is definitely a tournament to consider. The other tournament that I want to talk about is the 2020 Kingston Open. That is coming up on, I guess, Valentine's Day weekend up in Canada. That is Family Day weekend. And it is also President's Day weekend. So it's a Saturday, Sunday, Monday 20-game tournament. This is one that's going to be a ton of fun. So if you're looking for tournaments to jump into, those would be a couple to give consideration to. I'm involved in both of those events. So anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. We're going to have some fun. And one of the things that is great about this recent move over to YouTube is we're going to have all of the comments in one place. So I encourage you to get involved, throw out your opinion, ask questions, talk to each other. That's all going to take place in the comment thread. Now, tonight, here's what we're going to be talking about is Asheville, North Carolina. This was a tournament that took place about a week and a half ago. And here to join me tonight to talk about Asheville is, there we go. Thank you, Art. That 2020 tournament is in Albany. Yes, the screen grab did not say. And so joining me tonight to talk about Asheville is someone who hasn't been on the scene for a little bit, but he's here tonight to share his thoughts. He recently made his appearance, his re-entry into Tournament Scrabble for the Asheville tournament after being away for 15 months from the game. And he came back and did it in fine form, winning the tournament. So here he is, the one, the only, you know him, you love him, Joey the K Kravchik. Joey, how are you?
I'm great. How's this setup looking?
I think it looks pretty good. You're a little off center, but I think that's going to work.
Gotcha.
So, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me tonight. Oh, you're cut off a little bit. If you sit back, then we can see you better. Okay, let's see if that is working. Yeah, I'm not sure what the issue was there. Give me a shout out in the chat if you can see me. We'll try bringing Joey back on and getting this thing back going. Okay, Joey, you're with me there. I don't know what happened. We sort of lost the stream for a second. If people in the chat, okay, good. Thank you, Art. Thank you, Portia. Okay, so here, shout out from Alec, and there is Will. Okay, thanks, everybody. So we're going to just try to soldier on here. Sorry about that interruption. So let's talk about Asheville, Joey. Joey, you used to, I guess you're currently living in the Southeast. You spent a lot of time in the Southeast. I think you grew up there. This Asheville is in North Carolina. You've been to Asheville a number of times, right?
Absolutely, yeah, at least 5 or 6 now. And sorry, everybody, for the sudden, evaporation of my internet connection or whatever that was. But
It's
yeah,
all right. It may be on my side. Maybe on my side.
Probably not. But yeah, so Asheville, I heard that Josh Greenway was going, so I had to reconsider my life basically and show up to the tournament. And that's the only circumstance that I'm going to attribute it to for now.
I see. Well, I think we had a lot of fun, so that was cool. It was great to have you there. Now, the reason I went down is we have a program in NASPA called the Social Media Reps Program, and we've used it to cover events like New Orleans and Niagara and, I think an Albany in there, maybe a few other stuff like that. So I went down on that program. Now, normally the way they set that up is they provide some limited funding for that. So ultimately, I went down to do some work in Asheville, got all kinds of great interviews, met some terrific people, got to attend the event, stuff like that. But it wasn't exactly a moneymaker. I probably paid out of pocket to go down there, which is fine because I always wanted to attend this tournament, or not always. That is actually the point of the title of this show. I didn't know this was a tournament for several years when I started playing tournament Scrabble. And this thing's been running for 14 years. They always seem to have about 100 players. What do you think about that, Joey? Do you ever run into people and they just don't know what the Asheville tournament is?
I don't know about all that, but it's definitely gained notoriety over the years. And it's just one of those homegrown tournaments that everyone looks forward to. So the numbers, speak for themselves, and people like to get away to exotic cities, and it's a cool little mountain town, so it's perfect for a Scrabble tournament.
Absolutely. So hello to Christina there. Christina, we miss you. When are you going to come back to a tournament? What I want to say is often when it comes to this show, NASPA Tonight, and some of the work that I do, I'm kind of accused of having a northeast bias for the show, and I think that's a fair criticism. Most of the people that I know in Scrabble and tournaments that I go to and stuff like that take place in the Northeast because I live in the Northeast. So this was specifically one of the reasons I wanted to go was sort of meet some players who I'd never met before and just see what was going on. And definitely, as a player from the Northeast, the Asheville tournament had some particular charms about it. I find I haven't done that much traveling in the South, but I just found everybody to be super nice. And when I decided to go, actually, Joey, you were extremely helpful in this. You immediately were like,
I try to be helpful always.
Absolutely. So you immediately were like, listen, because flying into Asheville is a tough thing. That's right, Portia. I live in Southeast Canada, but the Northeast generally. So flying into Asheville is like crazy. It's expensive, stuff like that. So I flew into Atlanta, which is about a 4-hour drive from Asheville, hoping to find a ride.
Not when I'm driving.
Yeah, so we're not the way you're driving. So Joey here immediately says, okay, I'm going to set you up. Either I'm going to drive you or whatever. And you called our mutual friends. I mean, I think you're much closer to them than I was before this trip. But Carl and Mo down there in Atlanta immediately were like, look, we're going to take you in. We're going to put you up. They ended up driving me there because we drove really early on the Friday morning so I could check out Asheville a little bit. And I just had the greatest time. And then you drove me back. You drove me all over Atlanta, back and forth. I mean, people just could not have been nicer. So that's the
it's
one.
Called
big
Southern hospitality.
That's right. Absolutely. Okay, so we're going to get into your performance here in a minute, Joey, but I wanted to show people some pictures that I took while I was there. They do some nice signage outside of the event. One person who is with us tonight, Jacob Cohen, he is not only a Scrabble guy, a co-director, a technology guy, runs their website and stuff like that. He's also a woodworker. So this is like a giant wooden tile that they use as their logo. Here's another thing that I thought this was an interesting difference between the Northeast and the South. I'm going to share here with everybody. This is going to take about 1 minute and 26 seconds, if you guys can hang in for that long. But we've got a nice little video of how these guys opened the tournament, all right? I don't think you need to stand or anything for this, but let's go.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proud?
How great are these guys?
At the twilight's last
Everybody's in suits.
Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare of bombs bursting in air gave through the night.
They really do a nice job.
That our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right, folks, hearings are up. Find your opponent, your place in Scrabble.
So there you go. You're right, Christina. I shouldn't have been talking over that. But here's the interesting part. Part of the reason that I play that clip. We always do the American and Canadian anthem up in Albany for the July 4 tournament, and each of the last 2 years we've had some people kneel. Which I don't know where you are. Oh, well, here's the point. Nobody was kneeling down in Asheville, North Carolina. Like, not a single person. So what I want to know first, Joey, is what is your opinion on Scrabble kneelers? I think you kind of consider yourself a patriot, one who loves the country. But you're also an NFL fan where there's, been this element. So I'm very curious about your take on the whole kneeling during the anthem situation.
Yeah, so this was definitely a curveball I was not ready to hit. So I'll just say that I'm going to figuratively punt this question, and we can talk about, I don't know, it's just not like a default thing. So like the fact that you didn't see people kneeling in Asheville doesn't like mean anything. It just means that like it just didn't happen. It's fine. Like.
Okay, all right.
Talk about it here.
I'll let you off the hook there, but I'm just always interested in these things, and I think anthems are very interesting. It's a nice way to start the tournament, but there are definitely people who feel like maybe the anthem should not be played at Scrabble tournaments, and those are people on one side or the other. I met people who were like, or I've talked with people who were not, particularly happy with people kneeling, but also some people who just think the tradition should be done away with entirely. So there you go. Liam, that's funny. Okay, anyway.
Well,
go ahead.
It does take, it just adds time, so that was 2 minutes we could have been playing Scrabble instead, hypothetically. But we were glad to hear Wes and Bill shed some bars.
Yeah, no, they did it. They were fantastic, is what I want to say. When we play the anthem in Albany, it's nothing like that. So maybe that's why people are kneeling. Okay. So what I also want to talk about is just, again, I just want to point out just how nice these people are. Like, they cut all these apples for us. I guess apples are a thing down in Asheville, North Carolina. But these two, Carolyn and Wendy, were making snacks for us the whole time. And I'm not going to go through every member of the team, but they had a whole army of volunteers. Like, the Scrabble tournaments that I work on, I always work with at least one other person, sometimes a little bit more than that. I think they had like 7 or 8 or 9 people all involved in running this tournament, and it really makes it a cool thing. So what were your thoughts on just how the tournament ran and stuff like that?
Yeah, so it always runs pretty smoothly. This venue I hadn't been to before, but, I liked it because it was on a basketball court, of course. And, yeah, it's always
right.
run nicely, and always plenty of materials and goodies and things like that. So, it's pretty much as much as you can ask for as a player. You go to a tournament and everything goes pretty much perfectly.
Absolutely. So, and also one of the fun things is they bring in food trucks. So that was pretty cool. I can't remember. Oh, I had like a mac and cheese thing, and then I had like some barbecue pork. It was amazing. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if that was like a new thing or if that's perennial or what, but yeah, I like the food trucks. It saves everyone from having to drive.
For sure. I feel like we should have a Scrabble food review show. I'd like to see that, where we talk about the food at different tournaments.
So who would be like on this? Who would be on that?
No, I'm saying you and me. We'll review tournament
you and me.
foods. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know if we're the best people to review food, though.
Oh, I think I'm pretty good. I like snacks. But then again, I don't even play tournaments anymore, I feel like. Now, we're going to get into why you almost never play tournaments in a minute. But just to sort of wrap up, well, we're not... Anyway, we're going to keep talking about Asheville, but we saw Bill Snotty. He was one of the 4 singing the anthem, and he's a hell of a nice guy. I really got a chance to talk with him a lot over the weekend, and I have a short interview with Bill that I want to play here. It's less than 2 minutes. So let's go to that, and then we'll come back and start getting closer to results and how Joey did that weekend. So let's get Bill Snotty going here. And I love Southern accents. Like, it's great. Okay, here we go.
Hey, Bill Snotty here. I get to direct again the 14th annual Asheville A1 Autumn Leaves Scrabble Tournament. We have 100 people playing Scrabble in Asheville this weekend. Under clear skies, reasonable temperatures, a lot of fall color out there. We're having fun. I wish I could take all the credit for this, but it takes a village. It takes a team of people working. We have my co-director, Trish Harrop. Ruchi Gupta contributed prize money, contributed water, make sure we recycle something about the planet or something. I really want to thank my wife, Nina, and my 3 boys who all pitched in different ways. And Jacob Cohen, our webmeister. Don't try to play webmeister. It's not a good word. But a great guy. And he made our trophies that we've used every year for the past 5 or 6 years. These beautiful handcrafted trophies. You'll hear more about those at another time. We have a lot of divisions here. We have 7 first place winners. Some people say we have too many divisions, but we think it's about right. I got to thank all the Asheville tile slingers because they pitch in a variety of ways. They keep our club going. We meet every Sunday afternoon for 4 hours, and they make sure they're there. Their favorite pro football team is playing. They don't care. Who's part of the team? The players themselves. This is a well-behaved group who stays pretty quiet, not too many director calls, and many of these folks have been here 14 years in a row. So we hope to see you here sometime. Nice talking with you.
So there we go. There's Bill. He's he's fantastic on the mic. That was all done in one take. No practice rounds. He just banged it out. So that was great. I do want to mention to people, I must have done, I think, 15 interviews and different updates from Division 1 over the course of the weekend. Those have been rolling out slowly over the last week and a half. I think I have 3 interviews left to edit and post. Once I do that, I'm going to take all the interviews and post them on the NASPA Facebook page and kind of share them and let people go through them that way. So that should be coming up in the next day or two. And one of the things here, I'll get this out of the way. One of the cool things about this tournament is what their prizes are. So when you win a division there, you get like a handcrafted either a clipboard or racks. Those are made by Jacob Cohen in, I guess, his workshop. I don't really know anything about woodworking. These are some beautiful these red racks right here. And Joey, you won one of these clipboards, right? At the tournament. What happened to that clipboard?
Still exists.
So that's
Yeah.
a really nice tradition that they do. And they were so kind to me that I just talked about, how much I loved that tradition that they do, that Jacob was nice enough to gift me that pair of red tile racks. So that's something that's going to go into my personal Scrabble set, which doesn't see much use. Speaking of Scrabble sets not seeing much use, Joey, you were away from the game for 15 months. We'll get into why you were absent for so long, but let's talk about your tournament performance. How do you think it went after such a long layoff? I remember you lost your first game. Is that right? Or an early one?
Yeah, I lost my first game, and at this point, I basically just expect that for some reason. First games of tournaments are just very bad. I don't know why, but after that, usually things start falling into place a little bit more. So it didn't faze me too much, and then I drew fine. I played not that amazingly, but not the worst I've ever played. So with a little bit of luck, I pulled it out.
I think it's important to note that Joey here, if you don't know Joey is a longtime Scrabble expert. He's sitting, you're in kind of mid-1900s. You spend a lot of time over 2,000 rating, which puts you in, you're kind of top 50 players in North America, I think, solidly, right? Is that fair to say?
Good enough.
So, you came in as the number 1 seed. Although being off for 15 months, there was really a question as to how you would do. And I know what you mean about first games. I think I'm a very middling Scrabble player, but the first 8 tournaments or 9 tournaments I ever played, I lost the first game in every single one of them. And so I always think it comes down to nerves, but I don't know if that's possible for a guy like you. What do you think it is? Like you said, first games can be weird. How would you explain that weirdness?
Well, in this case, as Josh Jr., who may or may not be watching, can testify to, I looked over the game because I was just curious to see how I played at the tournament. And, I just was making mistakes left and right. For example, the first game, the first play, my opponent played the word alike, A-L-I-K-E,
Yeah.
and there's 2 3-letter extensions for that to the triple. It would be lava-like or nova-like. And I had Nova-like just sitting right there for me, so ready on a silver platter for me to play, but didn't even consider extension. And so first game, make a mistake, and you're just like, well, there it is. That's the game literally right there.
Right. Yeah.
So-
that's what Scrabble can come down to is a single play. I like that Alex Seaholm is posting his records against all the Joeys. Maybe Alec wants to weigh in on my. Am I underrating Joey Krafchick by just calling him top 50, or should it be a little bit higher? Okay, so you lose the first game, you miss Nova-like. And then it starts to come together for you a little bit, right? We were doing little video hits. We're going to show one of them shortly, but tell me about sort of the mid-tournament, or let's do it by day. So how did you finish day one? I think you were 6-2, something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And anything notable about that? How were you feeling after day one? Happy to be 6-2 or a little disappointed?
Yeah, I guess I felt pretty neutral. Over the years, I guess I've mastered more and more not giving an F as to how I'm doing.
Right.
So I guess that's part of the problem with why I don't enjoy playing anymore, is because I felt like when I'm doing well, it's like neutral, like I said, and then if I'm doing bad, it's like, okay, well, I'm mad about it. So it's like I can't really win in that situation if I'm not getting any positivity out of my results or whatever. But not everyone is like that, right? So that's more of a me problem, but it's still a problem and it isn't just gonna go away.
We'll get into that in a second. What I want to show people is as we started to get down to the end, I think like this was maybe taken after the 13 out of 14 rounds, or maybe it was heading into 13. I can't quite remember. The video will show this. But we had a video with you and Jeff Cooks as you guys, I think, were both trying to position to get into the finals. And much of the attention was on you and Jeff. You guys were the number 1 and 2 seeds, and you were kind of battling it out through the tournament. Can you tell people a little bit about Jeff Cook and what that guy's like?
Yeah, so just to clarify, there wasn't exactly a finals like that. It did end up being like there was a last game for first place, but it wasn't an official finals. Anyway. Yeah. So, yeah, Jeff Cook, yeah, he's a great guy, 6'4", from West Virginia. I know his height matters a lot. I just wanted to give him the glory if he's watching. We love you, Jeff. But yeah, he's got a great sense of humor. He gets along with everybody. And he's fun to play, even though he coffee houses / kibitzes, which I usually prefer my opponents not do. But
give him a pass?
But we'll give him a pass.
All right. Well, let's get a look at you and Jeff together, talking about heading into this. Actually, this is probably heading into the final game. You guys have made it to the final game, and the winner is going to go on to win the tournament. The loser is likely going to finish in third. So this is before you guys play that final game. This video is 1 minute and 13 seconds long. Let's go to that.
Oh, God.
Hi, I'm still Jeff Cook, and I'm standing here with Joey Krafchick, and we will be playing in the last game of this Asheville Scrabble tournament. Sometimes it's called the King of the Hill.
Absolutely. So we are here, and it all comes down to this. So let's let the trash talking begin, I guess.
Whoever wins this game will be the winner of the tournament, and whoever doesn't will not. And I sincerely hope that Joey does not break the Americans with Disabilities Act, because he surely knows he's playing somebody with the early stages of Alzheimer's.
That is very self-deprecating and makes me want to kill myself.
Well, we're obviously, well, you might not be able to tell on the we are the top 2 seeds, number 1, number 2, and we are also the 2 tallest players in Division 1, number 1, number 2. And I just want Joey to remember that real men do not use blanks.
I concur with that. And after the games are over, I think we need to play a one-on-one game of basketball to 7 points.
I've seen you play. It should be no problem.
Absolutely. Touche.
So that was a fun interview. You can see more like that If you're part of the Facebook, the NASPA Facebook group, that's where all of those interviews are. And like I said, I'll be posting a compilation of all the kind of Division One updates that we did throughout the tournament pretty soon in the next 2 days, I think, on the NASPA Facebook page. One last bit of business. Oh, well, we should, we got to do this, right? Let's see. How am I going to put this on the screen? All right. Let's go ahead and do this. Here we go. Here are you guys shooting some hoops. Do you want to do some play-by-play commentary? Here you go. And boom, right in the basket. 2 points. There's Jeff shooting the ball.
Sign me up.
And here comes Joey. This is after the
same
tournament
shot?
is over.
I think that's the same shot.
It might be the same shot, sure. I may have it on repeat. Okay, and the last thing I want to cover is Asheville has a great website. You should go check it out. If you like Scrabble websites, AshevilleScrabble.com. Michael Kirkland wants to know, is there an official Scrabble basketball skill-weighted national ranking? I think you would do well there, Joey, based on, based on your Scrabble skill. Who's the best Scrabble player in the NBA? That's what I want to know. Okay, so I would suggest you all check out AshevilleScrabble.com. And if you like getting Scrabble in your inbox, they have a weekly newsletter that has all sorts of great stuff in there, study guides, updates, stuff like that. So you can go sign up for that. So I wanted to cover that. Now, Mr. Kraftchick, Joey the K. Why were you away so long? Why 15 months between your last tournament and the Asheville Scrabble tournament? That's what I want to know.
Well, I mean, in my mind, it's like all continuously staying away, and then that appearance in Asheville was just an appearance. It was good to be back and be in the mixed. And I'm just like I said, it's just there comes a point where there's no way you're going to get a positive outcome out of it. So it's just better just not to do it.
Well, I think that's I can understand. I mean, you and I personally have talked about this a number of different times. I think that you haven't gotten the same level of satisfaction or level of, let's say, reward from playing the game that maybe you had before. I don't know if you think that's fair. I think other people might do the math slightly differently depending on how they value the rewards, right? Like, so there's prize money to think about, but then there's also the sense of community and stuff like that. Do you think that's fair, that different people can have different kind of math on that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a me problem more than anything. But all in all, I'm still kind of searching for a new hobby, so to speak. I don't know what that might be. I have some ideas, but yeah, I'm trying to replace it just because I feel like I'm burned out, and there's just really not any compelling reasons to play, at least in North America. So I'm just kind of going with the flow, and I can't really control that much of the circumstances that make it not as attractive to play as it would be in a vacuum.
Yeah, well, and I think you and I have talked before. I mean, I think your feeling is that Scrabble has been somewhat stagnant, or I don't. Maybe that's a positive spin on it over the last few years. The real question is sort of, for me anyway, one of the reasons that I stay so involved as a contributing in different ways is I tend to believe that as more and more people have more time for all kinds of weird different interests, I think that Scrabble growth is possible, but I don't think we're in a period of growth right now. So I tend to understand what your position is. I think what we need to do is sort of set the stage to make that kind of growth possible. And that's one of the reasons why I have spent a lot of time working on things like social media, doing this show, trying to understand production better, putting more kind of video work together, stuff like that, because I think those are skills that if we can get into a growth curve, we're going to need. I don't know that that's inevitable, but that's certainly one of the reasons that I do some of the stuff that I do. So, as you've said, this was more of a exception that you played this tournament. This doesn't signal your return to the game. Could you see yourself playing at, one tournament a year, or right now it's not even thinking about that going forward?
Yeah, I think the most likely circumstance is that I still do not play for several years, but then I eventually play Collins overseas.
Right.
I guess just because I still like words, I still study words. I could theoretically learn the Collins words, even though I don't know very many of them right now. Because I mean, for whatever reason, I like words, so. If anything, I'll always be rehashing them just because it's like a thrill, so to speak.
So have you kept up, like you say, you still study, yet you hadn't played in 15 months. How often do you study?
Yeah, I mean, I might have gone a few months without studying in 2019 at some point.
Yeah.
But, I still do a little bit here and there. But the thing with words, or at least with me in words, is that they're always circulating. When I drive a lot, and I'm looking at license plates and looking at the 3 letters and thinking of words that I can make with those, plus some vowels. So they're always somewhere in my mind.
Gotcha.
They never go away.
I want to say congratulations on your win in Asheville. That was a nice showing after being off for 15 months. Here's a question for you, just shifting the topic a little bit as we come to the end of the program tonight. There's been a lot of conversation on Scrabble Facebook about challenge rules and sort of what has been the standard for TWL, now NWL. And Collins is the difference between double challenge and single challenge. So in double challenge, in case people watching aren't familiar, double challenge is sort of what most of North American Scrabble, those are the rules that they're played under. Basically, if either player plays a word that comes off the board, they lose their turn, which is considered a pretty significant penalty. And also, like, the fact that you can lose your turn for challenging a word makes it a pretty steep price to try to challenge someone's word. So in a way, that can make bluffing a somewhat effective strategy versus single challenge, which usually comes in a 5-point variety or a 10-point variety. Basically, if you play a word and it gets challenged off, you lose your turn. That's the single part of the challenge. But if I play a word and it's good and Joey challenges it, he doesn't lose his turn. I just get 5 points, right? I think that's a pretty good summary of those things. And there was what NASPA's done recently is they've opened up the possibility of playing with single challenge in NWL games in tournaments and giving directors the option to put that out there and then seeing how players how they react to it, whether they react positively or negatively. And this thread, I mean, it's literally, at last count, 243 comments on there, with people ranging from, why is NASPA trying to shove this down our throats? Why are people changing? I like my Scrabble the way it is. Then there are other people who are like, well, it's just giving people flexibility, more choice and stuff like that. And it's going back and forth. And there have been some very interesting takes on that. Do you have a take on single versus double challenge? You've played some Collins tournaments in addition to your illustrious NWL career or TWL career. What's your take on single versus double?
Yeah, so I think it's pretty close as far as double versus 10-point, but 5-point is definitely suboptimal in my opinion. As far as how tournaments should be offering it, if a director wants to run a tournament, with a different challenge rule, it's kind of like every other aspect of the tournament. It's like you put it on the flyer, and if people don't like it, they won't show up. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I would prefer that everything was just double because that should be the standard, right? That we actually know the dictionary. And I know not everyone wants to learn the dictionary, and that's obviously it's emblematic of how Scrabble is like, oh well, it's just like a family game, or it's just like a casual game. It's like I don't want to take it that seriously. You're entitled to do it, but then that makes it a tricky thing with like prize money. It's like, well, if I'm allowed to just like not know the words, then why should I win any money? It makes it complicated. So that's why I think it should just be double. Everything should just be on a level playing field. You shouldn't be handicapping people.
Gotcha. And you say some people don't want to learn all the words, and I just want to say, look, I'm sitting right here. You don't have to insult me. But that is, I long ago knew that I wasn't going to make my bones in this game over the board. So I'm trying to do that in different ways. I want to throw this out to the audience out there. Again, thanks everybody for watching and sticking around. That audience number has been solid all show long, so I appreciate that. I think YouTube generally gives a more positive viewing experience. But what's your take on single or double? If you can throw into the comments just even single, the word single, the word double, would love to see that kind of feedback. And it was really interesting. Like some of the people that we know, obviously, in the community, had pretty strong opinions. I wanted to shout out a few of them. One, Jason Brosma was all over that thread. Jason Brosma is very interested in getting as much of North America converted over to Collins, and I feel like that was part of why he was so strong in his advocation of this ability to offer single challenge. Then there were also some really interesting points from both Kenji and David Eldar, who I thought there was some really insightful stuff. If I can't address every single point, but certainly I was struck by David's approach, which was, for the vast majority of Scrabble, it really almost doesn't matter which you play with. It's going to make a very minor difference in the long haul, and that single. Anyway, just some differences on strategy versus, kind of word knowledge. The challenge rules can either heighten the importance of word knowledge, but if you're going to play elite Scrabble anyway, you need to have elite word knowledge. So, I don't know. How long did it take you to learn basically, almost the whole NWL dictionary?
Well, it's not so black and white because when I started playing, the words started trickling in, right, slowly. But then at some point, circa 2013, I decided that, F it, I'm just going to start learning them all. And, yeah, so within, a few years of that, I, got close to knowing everything. But, even today, or even at my peak, whenever that was,
yeah.
What do I really know? I let phony fours and play phony fours, getting 100% on airlift doesn't actually mean jack,
Right. Yeah. Some different takes in there about double and single 10-point. But also Noah Slatkoff coming in hard with, I think that being able to phony is not a representation of skill, and then commenting Jackson underneath that. So I think that's fun. Okay, we could probably do a whole show about single versus double, but we're not going to do that tonight. I think what we wanted to do tonight was talk with Joey, talk about the Asheville Scrabble tournament. I think we've done those things. I appreciate everybody being here. Joey, if you don't have a next tournament coming up, what is coming up? I think you're going to be traveling up here at some point, right?
if the weather allows me, I'll be there. But
Fantastic.
yeah, I'm just winging it. I'll probably go to New Orleans again. I went last year and didn't play.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was very cold and wet, but it was still New Orleans. So, and the Saints lost that weekend, so it was not the worst. But yeah, another thing. Noah said something about Jackson, which wanted me to say that I think I'll be rematching with Jackson in a series, so maybe we'll get to broadcast that. And
Yeah,
he can
we
get
should.
his sweet revenge against me from last year.
Absolutely. We did a little bit of broadcasting of that series last year, and it was janky as hell, but we should get a little more serious about it. Okay. Thanks very much, Joey, for being here. Thanks, everybody, for joining. I think the next show is scheduled for 2 weeks from today, but just stay tuned on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, definitely hit the subscribe button. That's how you'll know when the show is on and when we upload new content. There's also a little bell that appears once you hit the subscribe button. If you ring that bell, you're going to get notifications, I think, to your inbox when new Scrabble content appears. So I would appreciate that. It helps our channel. It helps, it just helps get the word out. So that would be very much appreciated. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks, Joey. We'll see you soon. And like I say at the end, oh, there goes Joey. Like I say at the end of every episode, support your local directors. They're working hard for you. Okay, everybody. We'll see you next time. And thanks very much for watching. Bye-bye.